So here is kind of where I am at in terms of the Patriots. I have no clue. That's where I'm at. I don't really know what to think about them right now. It's pretty clear what kind of team we are dealing with here. So the New England Patriots are 6-4 as of the time of this recording. They just beat the Jets this past Sunday, and I would say in convincing fashion. It should have been in convincing fashion, quite frankly, considering how incredibly their defense played. But unfortunately, it took what essentially amounted to a walk-off punt return touchdown by third-round pick Marcus Jones out of Houston, and there was a 10-3 victory for the Patriots. So good win on the home floor, or on the home field, I should say. But I'm really just, I have a lot of concerns about the Patriots. I had these same exact concerns going into the season, and they have shown me nothing that will alleviate those concerns for me. Those concerns, obviously, for those of you who had not heard my past thoughts on this, is the offense. They just don't really have one. Their offensive line has gotten significantly worse in just about every kind of way that you can imagine. Obviously, they traded Shaq Mason over to the Bucs, although I would say the Bucs need Shaq Mason a lot more than the Patriots do right now, but that's for another day. So that's obviously a huge concern. The health of Damian Harris is a huge concern. I'm pretty sure he's in a contract year right now. So the fact that he really has not been super effective, has just over 300 rushing yards as of the time of recording. Obviously, this is recorded before the Thursday night game against Minnesota. So we'll see if those concerns kind of lift with that. But for right now, you're more than halfway into the season, and if you're Damian Harris, the fact that you don't even have 400 rushing yards right now, it's got to be concerning when you're going into free agency, especially when you have a bullet train like Ramondre Stevenson behind you. He has been quite good this year. He has over 600 rushing yards at this point, even though he's really been the number 2 running back for on the depth chart for a lot of the year, obviously, unless Damian Harris was playing, unless he was healthy. But even sometimes when Damian Harris has been healthy, Ramondre Stevenson has been that number 1 guy, which has been really nice. So he's kind of flipped back and forth between number 1 and number 2. So his opportunities have grown this year as compared to last year, and I'm hoping that continues, because he's done well with the limited opportunities that he has had, and the bit of a decline in the quality of the offensive line work that has been going on lately for them. So, that was a concern for me, the running game going into the year. They were successful last year, but obviously they had a much better offensive line. And this year, the offensive line, it hasn't just affected the run game, but it has also affected the passing game. Mac Jones is getting terrorized back there. As of right now, they have given up 36 sacks in 10 games, which, it's not horrible. It's not, like the worst stat you could possibly have. It's not, world ending or anything, but it's still, almost 4 sacks a game. That is really, really not good. If you are the Patriots, you want to get that down, to 2.5 to 3, if not less, obviously. But for the Patriots, obviously, I'm sure, considering all of the injuries that they've had on the offensive line, and obviously trading Shaq Mason, the development of Cole Strange, their first-round pick, who hasn't looked fantastic, but he's been serviceable. I'm sure that they'll take that in a lot of ways. But the main concern has obviously been the passing offense, and absolutely nothing has changed. I actually think they've, quite frankly, taken several steps back. If you'd have told me at the end of last season that, going into this year, Jacoby Myers would still be by far our leading pass catcher halfway through the season, 10 games in, more than halfway now, we're 10 games in, I would have screamed. I mean, it's absurd. And listen, this is no disrespect to Jacoby Myers. He's obviously a good wide receiver. He's succeeding at a high level in the Patriots system, which as a wide receiver does not happen very often. There's been a very select few that have, especially over the last 20 years since Bill Belichick took over as head coach. There hasn't been a lot of wide receivers that have succeeded. And so the fact that he's, up there. He's got almost 600 receiving yards. He's I don't think he's quite on pace to hit 1,000 yards, but considering the absolute anemic offense that they have had this year, that's still pretty impressive. He's on pace to have about 800 receiving yards, which again, in this anemic offense, is pretty darn good. And the red zone struggles as well. Not just for Jacoby Myers. We obviously know that's well documented. His first touchdown came, I think, week 9 or week 10 of last season against the Browns. And it was, a garbage time touchdown too. So it wasn't even, it wasn't even a touchdown that like put him ahead in the game or something. They were already up by 20 or 30 points at that point. But still, it was nice to see. And so, Jacoby Myers has struggled to get in the end zone, certainly. But everybody else has too. It's really frustrating. The Patriots only have 9 total passing touchdowns on the season. That doesn't even account for 1 a game, which if, my quarterback every week maybe throwing 1 touchdown, I mean, that's sad. It's really, really not good. Now, it's not as sad as some other quarterbacks that we have seen this year, and we'll get into some of that a little bit later, but it's still pretty bad. Quite frankly, it's not something that I would be proud of if I'm the Patriots, and certainly they're not. And I know that the offense wants to do better, and quite frankly, they need to do better if they are going to handle the AFC East this year. They are no longer the AFC least. They used to be. It used to be the Patriots and then a bunch of teams that would be lucky to win 6 games. Now, everybody, 10 weeks in, has won 6 games in this division. Every single team. And that has not happened in quite some time. It's actually quite staggering when you start to think about the quality of football that's come out of the AFC East this year. I know I didn't expect I didn't expect the Jets to be this good this year. I thought that they would take a step up. I thought they might win 6 games total, maybe 7. I honestly figured they'd probably go 7-10, especially against weaker opponents. You figure they probably steal one against the Patriots. They may steal one against the Bills, and I'm pretty sure they've beat them at least once. I know that they've beat them at least once. They may have even beaten them twice at this point, which is just crazy to think about. I know they've beaten the Dolphins, so they're beating quality teams that I just didn't think that they would. But they have beaten them. They have beaten the Patriots, and again, we'll get into that a little bit later. But it's really, really interesting to see the quality of football coming out of the AFC East. So especially just to keep up in your own division, the Patriots' passing offense just needed to take a big step up. They went out and got Devontae Parker, and, Parker has been the same guy he always has been. He's, mostly available, but, sometimes he's hurt, which means he's going to miss, 4, 5, 6 games. And I think right now he has, 350 yards, maybe not even, couple touchdowns, it's not really what you're looking for out of your number 1 guy. And obviously he's not even the number 1 guy because Jacoby Myers is still the number 1 guy. And so, again, no disrespect to Jacoby Myers, but the fact that Jacoby Myers has to be the number 1 target in this offense still in 2022 when it was so poor last year, I mean, it's just, it makes me sad. And I know it makes a lot of other Patriots fans out there sad as well. So, those concerns for the offense have not waned one bit. Just looking kind of at the team statistics, the Patriots are bottom 10 in just about every single offensive category you could be in, and some of them they are bottom 5. In terms of passing touchdowns, they are tied for 3rd worst in the NFL with a few other teams. The only teams that are worse than them are the absolutely awful Steelers and the probably, arguably even worse Denver Broncos. That is a video for another day, by the way. The Broncos, I do not know what is going on over there. Russell Wilson has just not looked like himself, but either way, that's a video for another day. So, the Patriots' offense is, especially their passing offense, has been atrocious. Let's just be honest. It's been atrocious all year. It's not what you expect out of the Patriots. And a lot of it is on Mac Jones. And a lot of it's on the offensive line too. A lot of it's on the receivers. It's on everybody, quite frankly. It's on the coaching staff for, not really designing for guys to get open more frequently. And honestly, when you spend as much money as the Patriots did a couple of off seasons ago to get a guy like Jonnu Smith, and to get a guy like Hunter Henry. Now, Hunter Henry had a nice year last year, had 9 touchdowns, but this year, I mean, it's not just him, but nobody's getting open in the red zone. The red zone, has been just atrocious for the Patriots. It has not been friendly to them. they cannot seem to punch it in the red zone. They're bottom 10 again in red zone conversion percentage in the NFL this year. They just are not getting open, and that's why I think a guy like Tyquan Thornton can really be a weapon for the Patriots, but he just hasn't been out on the field very often. He missed the first handful of games with injury, and since he's come back, he hasn't really been on the field very much because, you got somebody like, Devontae Parker's out there, Jacoby Myers is out there, Hunter Henry's out there, Jonnu Smith is out there. There's only so many spots for these guys, and the Patriots aren't exactly, thrilled to go 5 wide all the time. You're not going to have 3, 4, 5 wide receivers on the field at one time very often if you're the Patriots. And if you're hell-bent on playing Jacoby Myers, which obviously you should, and hell-bent on Devontae Parker, then, you're going to miss opportunities to get other guys out there that may help you a little bit in the red zone. And, when you don't really have a passing offense in the red zone, everybody can just stop the run. And no matter how good Ramondre Stevenson or Damian Harris will be at the running game or in the red zone, you're just not going to find a lot of space in the red zone if everybody knows you're getting the football. It doesn't really matter who you're playing. These are all professionals. So if they know it's coming, or if they have a real good gut feeling that it's coming, chances are it's not going to work if you have an average offensive line and 2 slightly above average running backs. They're not Derrick Henry. They're not Jonathan Taylor. They're not Alvin Kamara. They're not these running backs that are so good at missing people in space or, just otherworldly good running backs, whether in the red zone or not, that you can get away with missing an assignment or the other team knowing what's coming. You can't do that if you're the Patriots. That's something that is just really frustrating for not just me, but for a lot of Patriots fans, going into the rest of the season. Now, all that being said, the defense has been outstanding. Almost the polar opposite of the offense. Clearly, the Patriots' goal this offseason was to fix the defense, and it was one of the things that I said that really needed to happen. The 2 things that needed to happen were they needed to fix their passing offense, they needed to get some more weapons, and I guess on paper, they added Devontae Parker and Tyquan Thornton, so I guess you could say they tried to do that, but it hasn't been effective. And they needed to get more youth and more speed and more just grittiness and toughness and quickness on the defensive end, and they have done that. They have looked fantastic. Matthew Judon is, really making a case for another Pro Bowl season and, honestly, maybe even be in contention for Defensive Player of the Year at this point. I'm not sure if, the pundits are kind of still looking at that as the case. I know that early on in the season he certainly was, but Matthew Judon does tend to slow down as the season goes along, but he has, stemmed that tide for now. He's just been on a tear. I think at this point he's got somewhere around 12 sacks, maybe 13, 10 games in, which is just fantastic. Especially with a 17-game season, you're talking about he may very well push for 20 sacks, which obviously is going to be up there with one of the best pass rush seasons of all time. Not quite, if you hit 20 sacks, not quite the record, but you're going to be very close. Anybody who has a 20-sack season will, they're gonna stand the test of time for quite some time, even with the extra week being added on a couple of years ago. So he's been performing well. The secondary, which I was very concerned about over, at the beginning of the season with the departure of J.C. Jackson, they've performed very well, which has been really great to see. Especially Jack Jones. He's got a couple of interceptions. He's definitely holding his own. And I know that I said, and I don't know if you guys remember me saying this back when I did that kind of hour-long analysis of the Patriots draft, I didn't really think Jack Jones was that great of a pick. He didn't show me anything in college to really showcase that grit and determination. But obviously, Bill Belichick found himself another defensive back, either in the mid-rounds or even undrafted. Obviously, Jack Jones wasn't undrafted, but he found another guy, another Double J that's going to be in that secondary that looks like he could be a star. He has filled in for J.C. Jackson, and he has filled in admirably. And then obviously, The other guys that were there before in the secondary, Devin McCourty, Jalen Mills, Miles Bryant. Miles Bryant has taken a big step this year as well. Got limited playing time last year. Definitely played more as the season went along last year, but this year he's had a much bigger impact. Obviously, you've got just many different guys back there that have really stepped up. Obviously, Jonathan Jones continues to be Jonathan Jones. And by the way, if you're not a Patriots fan, it can be very, very ridiculous to try and sort through all these double J names. Not necessarily Jalen Mills, because he's not a double J, but you got Jalen Mills, you got the former Patriot J.C. Jackson, you've got Jonathan Jones, you've got Jack Jones, you've got Marcus Jones. There's just all these Joneses and J's and double J's. It's a headache. But anyways, kind of getting back to it. The defense overall has been fantastic. They are, you say I talked about the Patriots offense being bottom 10 in just about every category. The Patriots defense is top 10 and top 5 in most categories, including sacks, interceptions, yards given up, touchdowns given up. It's just been an overall dominant performance by the Patriots defense all season long. They are definitely riding their defense. Now, there's obviously been some games that the Patriots defense has not looked very good, but quite frankly, they've looked virtually impenetrable all season long. Now, they obviously looked that way 10 games into last year, and we saw what happened by the end. But we're hoping that with the kind of injection of youth and speed that the Patriots have thrown into their defense, we're hoping that that does not happen, obviously, this year. And I think Minnesota is going to be a really great test. If I'm not mistaken, Minnesota Vikings, I believe, are 8-2. They have had a fantastic year so far. They've really taken a big step up. Kirk Cousins has looked great. Justin Jefferson is, putting his case in to be the best wide receiver in football right now. And he, and obviously you've got Dalvin Cook. You got a good offensive line. You got a solid defense with a lot of really, really hungry and good back seven players. It's really, really fun to watch the Minnesota Vikings. But the Patriots are going to be a good test for their defense. But I will say this. I don't know how you're stopping Justin Jefferson. I don't care who you have back there. He just seems to be on another level right now. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But those are really my thoughts on the New England Patriots. So if you guys have any different thoughts that you want to kind of talk about in terms of that, just leave those comments right below.
Hey guys, me again. Thank you so much for watching one of my clips from the Lopes Goes Last podcast. These clips are so much fun to do. I absolutely love making them and I absolutely love doing them. And this podcast is my baby. So I really want this thing to grow and I really want it to succeed. So if you did like what you see, please subscribe. Also hit that bell notification so you never miss any one of my episodes or one of my clips like this one. And please do also like and share these videos with your friends and your family so that we can make this thing grow as fast as possible. And I wanted to thank you again so much. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video and have a great rest of your day.